So quick run from yesterday's class. Guys, I'm using a different headset today. Am I loud and clear?
Yeah,
Yep,
it's a bit better.
Okay, cool. Awesome, guys. Now let's get running. A quick run of what we did yesterday. Okay, so we create a very simple HTML page. We created some bunch of functions, like a really simple script. We got a package from NPM, Node Package Manager. We went over what an NPM is, what a node module is, what would you do if you need a package from the public internet built by someone and you want to use that package into your application. As simple as that, you go to NPM library, search for that package, copy the package name, and then do npm install the package name, and that package name should show up on your packet.json. And let me repeat this again, guys. If tomorrow you go to any project, okay, you're put into a project tomorrow, the first thing that you have to take a look is packet.json. Packet.json has complete information about the project. It should have how to run the project, what is the project about, might or might not be, depending on people can put it in the description or not, the name of the project, the current version of the project, okay, and how to run the project, how to test the project. They are all inside your packet.json, and all the dependencies that your project needs to run will also be under the dependencies key in here. So the first thing you have to do is go check what is the dependency. Is it a public dependency? Is it a private dependency? Does the company own the dependency, or is it public internet? If it is on a public internet, you should get a lot of information on how to use the package. If it's a private owned company, they would definitely have a documentation around it, or one of your team members should help you what is this package is all about. Okay. And then we moved on to a tool called Browserify, because we were trying to use a script which needs a required keyword, which is not part of client side. It's a server side script. Okay, but my browser would only understand client side JavaScript. What do? I go to Browserify. This is a little magical tool, Browserify. And what does it do? It just converts your server side JavaScript into client side JavaScript. And a little command you say, and the output, the name of the output file, it spits out. Okay, it takes a server side file, it spits out your JavaScript file, which is a client side file. Okay, and I named this as a bundle for a reason, but you can name this anything. And then going back to your index.html, you will reference this bundle file, because the bundle is not a server-side JavaScript, which I have written. It is a client-side JavaScript, which is converted by the Browserify. Cool until this point. Then I created two folders, which is called public, because public folder is the one that goes onto the public internet. Okay, I'm not gonna share my source code onto the public internet. If people can read your code, people can break your code, and that's how people can hack into your website. And we don't want to do that. We make sure that we bundle the code in a way people do not understand. In my case in here, I'm not doing uglification. It's another keyword called uglification, where it changes the variable names, comments out, remove some stuff, add some stuff, make it gibberish. So people don't understand your code on the public internet. But still, if you are developing, you should be able to understand your code, and that everything that you can understand can go into the source folder in here. Awesome. Clear until this point? This is what we went through yesterday. Now, you would ask me, Vikram, I thought front-end development was very easy. We started about NPM, Node.js, Babel, ES6, JSX, React to DOM, Browserify. Can you make my life easier? I really don't want to set up everything by myself. Do you have something like a base code? We call that in programming bullets, we call it boilerplate code. A boilerplate is nothing but a template code where you can start on writing your React components right away. So you don't have to set up all by this yourself. Sounds good, right? You don't have to set up everything by yourself. there is a package. Again, this is also an npm package. Every time I say package, this is by de facto it's an npm package. Okay, Facebook saw the pains of the developers who are trying to. When I started React development, I have to do everything. Like 4 years back when I started React development, I have to set up Babel by myself. I have to set up Browserify, which is a bundle code. I have to set up my ES6, React to DOM, everything line by line. I have to do for myself. If I'm doing another project, I don't create again. What I do is I have my own template, which I will copy over again, right? So Facebook saw these pains of the developers, and they came up with a little tool that can create your React application bundling, putting everything out of the box. All you have to do is little command will create your React application and start coding. Boom, you have your React everything. You have your Babel, ES6, whatnot, everything that put into your little package. Now we're gonna take a look at how we use that package to create an application. Now, as soon as I create that package, you should see something very similar, folder structure, what we have seen in here. We'll come back in here, okay? So I'll just go back and let me show you the package. It's called, very simple English term, create. Since you cannot have spaces in the package name, they put a hyphen, create React app. This is from the Facebook guys. Because React is from the Facebook, they have to provide the tools to make sure developers learn React more friendly way, right? They don't want the developers, take more time and start getting started with React. Now, this is an npm package. So how do I go by doing it? I simply say, go to my terminal. If you are using a VS Code, guys, the good thing about the VS Code, this is an editor, okay? This is the VS Code editor. Let me clear off the poll. Is everybody installed VS Code on your machine? I'm not sure if I said you this at the beginning of the class.
Yeah.
Yeah, Manoj, Hana, Arjun, Karthik. Yeah, you should know about this VS Code, right?
Yes.
The beauty of the VS Code is that you have an integrated terminal in here. Other IDs also have integrated terminals. But again, on top of that, there are many packages inside VS Code that really helps you to do a better React coding. Now, there are other packages as well, other IDs as well. People can try Atom. This is another tool. Another IDE. We also have Sublime Text. It's purely developer preference. Nobody forces you to particularly use a particular IDE. If you want to challenge yourself, guys, hey Vikram, I don't want my life easier. I want pain in every step of line of code I write. Go use a notepad. Just go ahead and use a notepad, and you would start hating React. You would start hating programming the moment you start it. So the IDEs would help you to write a better code. They also catch errors even before you compile the code. We'll get onto that part on the linters. Now, Facebook came up with this little tool called Create React App. And with a simple one-liner code, you can start creating your React application, okay? npx create React App. Now, you might be wondering, Vikram, you told me about npm. What is about npx? npx is a cloud version of npm. To put it in a different perspective, what would I do is, in order to use a package, I should download that package into my machine, right? So I do npm install create React app, and I would install it on a global level because this is not related to a particular project. If it's related to a particular project, I don't have to do global, right? Because React DOM, I can use one version of React DOM in one project, another version of React DOM in another project, and so on and so forth. But in here, this is a global package. So I do -g in here. I should get started with installing. Once I have this package installed, then I use this package, create React app. And then I would say the name of my React project that I'm about to create. You guys have any suggestions on it? Arjun, tell me about a project name that you want to create. Let's go with the same name sample. Arjun, are you with me?
Yes, yes, you can.
Okay, cool.
So yeah,
Yeah. So the name
project
of the
name.
project, yeah, the name of the project cannot start with a capital character. You cannot have numbers in it. All it's a small space, but if you really wanted to separate your words, use a hyphen. Okay. Now I installed my package using the previous line, and then I'm using that package to create a React application. So this is a two-step process, but instead, Facebook had made it even much simpler. They thought, why install a package on your machine, use a cloud version, and instead of doing npm, use npx. Okay, so I would still go ahead and use npm right now because I have a local package installed on my machine, and I would say sample app. Look what happens as soon as I do this. Let me create another folder. Let's get out of this folder, cd sample, making another folder, sample React app. I'm just creating a folder, guys. It's nothing fancy here. And then I go into that folder. Okay, clear it up. Then I would create React app and name of my app. I would say sample app. Okay, and hit enter. Boom, it started creating our pretty brand new React application. See what's going on there. It's resolving the packages, getting the packages, creating my folder structure, node modules, whatnot, everything it's doing by itself. This little package called create react app, Babel, ESX, everything put into this application. And there's another thing. If you're using this create react app, there's a different tool called Webpack. Now, what is a Webpack? A Webpack is the same tool what a Browserify does. Hannah, what does a Browserify do? Manoj,
Yeah,
what does a Browserify do? Yesterday we talked about it.
yeah, actually,
It converts your server-side code into client-side JavaScript.
client-side code, yeah.
Yeah, server-side JavaScript to server JavaScript, basically server JavaScript to client JavaScript.
Yeah.
So your browser can understand.
Okay.
Right? The
Yeah.
difference is that server-side JavaScript can access hard disk and all that stuff, but the client-side JavaScript is limited, and the reason it is because of the security reasons. Your browser should not access your hard disk and all that personal information.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now instead of Browserify, we use a Webpack. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing about Webpack is that, remember I told you about how you should minimize your bundle size. Do you guys remember we were looking at what is the bundle size, the bundle of your JavaScript file? Now Webpack has a lot of features that you can cut your bundle into multiple pieces and load which bundle depending on user browsers, because you have 10 pages, okay, on a website. You don't have to load 10 pages JavaScript code all at once, because this is a single bundle in here. Instead, Webpack would only download one piece of the code that belongs to one page. Then as a user clicks onto another page, it would only download the code that is related to that page. This is called code splitting in the Webpack terms. And Webpack also have uglification. Uglification is where where you write a piece of code and then it will change to a completely different code. The code would still work, but it will change the variable names, function names, removes the comments, spaces, etc., all that stuff. Webpack has that out of the box. And on top of that, Webpack has something very interesting. Okay, let me show you the interesting thing. Let's clear off it. Now I should have my React application. So I go to my React application, which is called sample app. And then I open it in my VS Code. and you should see something very similar what we did with our previous sample application. You have a node modules, the public folder, obviously everything that belongs to the public internet goes into the public folder. The source of the React application, the one we are about to create, that's a git ignore. We'll talk about it. We have to create a repository. We'll talk about it. Then you have a packet.json. You have a simple a README file where you can see what's how to start the application and etc. All that stuff. Now this is good. This is good. Now, what if I want to open my HTML and see how does it look like? So I go into the public folder. This is the HTML file. I open up the browser, drag and drop the file into my browser. Okay, that doesn't work like that. I would say open in reveal in Finder. Then I copy it. Then I drop it. Ooh, that looks something went wrong. The error file is not found. It's supposed to work, right? Like yesterday, we created a simple application. Okay, guys, I'm going too fast, I think. Let me break in here. Any questions, or do you want me to repeat that again?
Can you repeat it, please?
Okay, from which point, Hannah?
Drag and drop, and then?
No, not this one. I mean, until this far of the class, do you have any questions?
This was
Oh,
quite
no.
very fast.
Yeah,
Actually.
recently, I mean,
So you were breaking.
We didn't get actually.
Okay, so you were clear until yesterday where we created public folder and the source folder.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hold on, you guys. Other people like Karthik and Arjun, are you good?
Yeah, I can.
Karthik, cool. Now Hannah and Manoj, we created a sample HTML page yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We kept our React DOM, we kept our React into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and then we talked about how each time you load the page, you have to fetch the modules and again. Instead of that, you should be able to download your modules and put into your local folder. And that mechanism is managed by Node.js server. And you use an npm tool to get the modules, download and put it on your local machine, right?
Yes.
And then you would have ES6, Babel, all that configure, right?
Yeah.
Cool, awesome. Now, you asked me, Vikram, should I do this every time I start a React project? Yesterday we were talking about template, if you remember.
Yeah.
A template is like a base code where you can start writing your application without the initial setup.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the initial setup, every company have their own initial setup, right?
Yes.
Similarly, Facebook gave a very generic template.
Okay.
That generic template can be created using a package. And
Okay.
that package is called Create React App.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we use this Create React App package to create our React application.
Okay.
Okay. Now, why do I need the package to create my React application? Can I just not copy everything, do everything by myself? This is time consuming, right?
Yeah.
And I should start doing my React application as soon as I wanted to learn and I wanted to start. I don't have to waste my time in configuring Babel, in configuring JSX, in configuring ES6 and all that stuff.
Okay.
So React came up with a package that will create your React application, React project. So you can create any number of projects.
Okay.
Okay, using this package.
So is this something similar to what we discussed yesterday? Like the company will have come up with a template where we need to, start the.
Exactly. So instead of create React app, you would say create AT&T app or create Verizon app, and you would have a template, base template with them with AT&T logo or Verizon logo. So you don't have to put all those logos and start from the beginning.
Yeah.
You get on and start coding your application from the boilerplate.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the way you do that is you can directly use this command
Mm-hmm.
and create your React app. So I can use, let me delete that React application. So rm-rf sample app, just deleting my React project, and let me create my React project again. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will create my React project again. And I would name my project as sample app. The second argument, the first is the command. The first is the name of that package which I'm using. The second is the name of the project I'm creating. This way I can create hundreds of projects. I can name different project a different name. Okay. Now I say create React app sample app, then it's creating a new React app and the location. And it also creates everything that I need to get started with my React project. So I don't have to worry about Babel, ES6 and all that stuff, Browserify and all that stuff.
Okay.
Are we clear on this?
Yeah.
Anna?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll try to go a little slower, but whenever you guys find it difficult, just let me know. I'll pause it or repeat that again for you.
So this will create a default tab. Like,
Yeah, this will create a default template for
so
us.
in here, if we want to add anything,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to make any modification, let's say you created a blank page with a logo on it. And if
Exactly.
you want to add something like calendar or a login
Yes.
page, you have to get it from npm again.
Again, exactly.
Okay.
So we will create a blank app right now, and then we'll start adding more information into that blank page.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Now, once I create a React app, you would have a bunch of information saying what you can do with the React app. Now, like you might be thinking, React, if I have index.html, I should able to open this file, and like any other browser, I should able to copy this and throw it in the browser, and that should start rendering my HTML page, right? Because this have HTML in it. Correct, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I have HTML page, this is the project that is created by React. This is called a sample app, that is we just created. We just created using our React package, create React app package. Okay. Clear until here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like any other HTML page, I should able to throw in my index.html into my Chrome, and I should able to get some output, right, folks? But you don't see anything in here because I do not have anything in here. It's a completely empty div. But if you see back in here, so yeah, this is, you have a ID in here. So when I start running my React code, you should able to see the React code attached in between this div in here, which I'm not currently running, because the code is generated by a server, a Node.js server. So I have to start the Node.js server. So what I do is I go back to my terminal. I say npm start. Okay, how do I know I have to do npm start? If I go to packet.json, you should know how to start the project under the scripts tag, under the scripts key. Tomorrow you get onto a project, you should first search for how to, after you look through all the project information, you should search for the key called scripts. This is again in the packet.json. This is how important the packet.json is. And whichever file, whichever command that says start, it just cannot be start. It can be start dev. It can be start prod. I mean, you want to start the development server, you want to start the production server, you want to start the staging server. It depends. And in my case, we do not have any of those fancy environments. I'm just saying npm start and hit enter. No, I have to be into the project. So I say npm start, and that should bring up my simple template page. Okay, this is a template page. Everything is set up by the boilerplate or the React Create app. And the beauty of this, the Create app is that you remember every time I try to change something on my index.html, I have to refresh my page. You guys remember that? I change my HTML source code. I go in here, I refresh this page. You see what happens when I change something on the React world. My development server is still on, okay, and it's showing me where is my application open. If you want to open from a different machine on a different network, you can use this IP address in here. But if I go back to my source folder, app.js, and I change something in here, okay, so instead of that, and I hit the save button, okay, see what happens as soon as I hit the save button. I did nothing on the browser. The browser refreshed and loaded the content. Cool. This is possible using Webpack. This is called live reload. Any questions until this far?
What is causing the background or what is making it to auto refresh the content?
It's called Webpack Dev Server. It's a Node.js server. It's built on top of Node.js server. Anytime you change your file content, it will start looking at your files and auto refresh your browser. For this to happen, you have to have a little server that is running on your machine always. So if I close this, Control C will close my server. Now see what happens if I refresh it. It should go away because my server is not present. I have to go back, start my server again, npm start. Okay. And that should bring up my application again. And it has everything set up, your Babel, ESX, everything. Now let's look at the folder structure once again. Okay, break in here. Any questions?
No.
Karthik? Arjun?
Yeah, no, carry on.
Okay, cool. Anytime you see your application is not loading, it's because your application server is not loading. It's not started or it's not active. And you, in order to kill this, you can say Control C twice. Sometimes it just works for once. Okay, and then npm start. That should bring up your server. And that should auto reload. Cool. Now I try to change something on my React and that should auto refresh. Okay. Now let's take a look at one of these folders. You should be able to see a public folder, which by now you should be familiar with. There is a Favicon in here. Favicon is nothing but the little logo that you see on the top. The little logo you see on the tab. You see there's a little logo in here on the tab. Manoj, how do you put this React title in here?
Using title tag.
Awesome, guys. Look at that. Right in the HTML folder, and you have a bunch of images that you need to load, and then you have a manifest file, which is like literally your packages, like your image packages. Okay, this is this is something related to SEO. I mean the search engine optimization thing, which you really do not need it. And then you have a source folder. Inside the source folder, you have app.css. The app. It's a very pretty standard CSS file in here. and then you have app.js, which is the root. Okay, this is what it has been rendered on the UI. But your application starts, always remember, whenever there is a folder and you're trying to your application will always pick index from a folder, and your application starts here, index.js. And if you see in here, you should be pretty familiar about the code in here. React to DOM render, and it's trying to get the element by ID. And where is that root here? You guys remember where is the root? Arjun?
You can, I think,
Arjun, any clue where is the root?
it will be in the React public.
You're not loud enough.
Open that index one, so there will be a div
Yeah.
with an ID.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is here. So it will stitch your HTML and then put that HTML right in between your div, which has the root. Okay. And somebody was asking me, how does it refresh? It uses a service worker to refresh your page every single time. And this is part of the boilerplate code. You don't have to worry about all that. Okay. Now let's go back and start doing some real React code. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna start the actual React coding that you're gonna do on a day-to-day. You're gonna do as a day-to-day as your job in your job. Break in here. Any questions on the fundamentals starting from HTML, CSS, JavaScript, boilerplate code? Manoj, are you still with me?
Yeah. I'm listening from her system actually.
Okay, cool, man. So
It's echoing a lot.
okay, no problem. So let's get started. You have your index.js and you are rendering an app, and that app is nothing but your file in here, which is app.jsx. In few projects, you should see something like this, JSX. Okay, there's no difference. You can put as JSX or JS. People put JSX to make this as a React component, to make sure as soon as you look at the file name, you get to know that this is a React component. And few projects are set up in a way that they always use a capital case. So React component always starts with a capital case. If you take a look at .index.js, it doesn't start with a capital case in here because there's no React related code in here. There's just bunch of imports and you're just rendering the React. But there are no actual React component. Whenever you have a component, we'll talk about what a component is. You start with a capital case. Okay, this is one of the interview questions. It's a very basic interview questions. I was interviewing another guy who was start coding React application, and he was using a lowercase character to start a React component. And I asked him, even before compiling the code, do you think it works? He said it will work. And the moment I got to know he has no experience with React, it doesn't work like that. Your React component has to start with a capital case. And in a minute, we'll, going down the line, I'll tell you why it has to be a capital. Okay, now let's jump back to our app.js. And what is the first thing that I need to start using, start writing in React? The actual React package. So what I do is var, okay, var is my, the way I create a box or a variable. And I would say capital case React is equal to, I require the package, which is my React package. How does it know it has to pick the React package? Whenever I do not use the path, I just say the name of the package. Where are those? Where are my packages? They are inside my node modules. If I scroll through, don't be scared of looking at all those modules. We will not be using any of those. Those are created by the boilerplate code. Okay, and scroll through them and you should be able to see the React package. So anytime I I require a package, it automatically gets the package from the node modules. Okay, now let's go ahead. I have required my React package. Then I go ahead and create my React component. Okay, which is a basic HTML component. Okay, so the way I would do this, something like this. I would say where my first component is equal to, okay, this has to be a React component, or this has supposed to be a React class. A class is nothing but if you have a building, guys, you would have a blueprint of that building. You can create you can construct any number of buildings using that blueprint, right? The blueprint is called class. Based on this blueprint, you construct all those buildings. Those buildings are called objects. You're creating an object based on that class. So I use a React class to construct my HTML building or the HTML component. So I say React dot create class, CREAT, create, and I use a camel case, class, okay, then parentheses. Now I want to pass what is the object that I want to create inside this class. So I do curly brace, enter, and I use a function. A function is nothing but I'm trying to tell, hey Google, hey React, see my Google is responding. Hey React, go create this HTML page for me. So I say render. Render is an English keyword to generate. Okay, generate is a function. And then a curly brace. Don't worry about the syntax. It will get on to you as you start doing all this React components. Then I say the render function should return. It's supposed to return my HTML. So return, okay, and it's supposed to return my simple h1 tag. H1 tag, I'm using JSX in here. This is React. Okay, folks. Then I export. Then once any JavaScript file, once I create a JavaScript file, the JavaScript file should be exposed. So the other JavaScript files can import them. I can only import a file if the file has been exported, right? If you're in India, you're trying to import something into the India, the other country should export their products. So they are willing to export their products. So what I do is I export my component, and the way I do that is it's plain JavaScript, export default, and my name of my component. Okay, and let's take a look at in here. It's always recommended that the file of the React component and the name of the component always matches. So app.js is the name of my file. So I change it to app.js or app. Don't worry if you're not getting any of this. We're gonna do it slowly, bits and pieces until you get this. Okay, and I save it. And the moment I save it, it should refresh and show my content. But you see something is going wrong in here. The create class is not a function. because starting, okay, let me show you this. Does anybody know what version of React we are currently on?
17
17, okay.
or 16?
We are on React 16.12.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, React.create class, the support for React.create class is stopped from React 16. Anything below React 16, you can do React.create class. Okay, so what I do is I go back to my packages. Whenever I create my boilerplate, it always gets me the latest React code. But instead, what I do is I go back to my packages. I don't want my latest React code. I would instead need something lower than 16. So I go change 16.12 to maybe 15.5, the last stable version I'm familiar with. Just give me a minute, guys. Okay, so I use 15.5. So when I change my React version, I should also change my React to DOM version because they work in hand. So I'm changing 15.5 of the React and also changing 15.5 for the React DOM. Now, my node when I first started this project, my node modules were pointing to 16 version. Now I change it, I delete my node modules. Okay, and reinstall them again because previously I had 16 version. Now I'll go back to 15 version. Whichever is your shopping list, right? You get those items. Whichever is put on the version number on the package.json, it will only get that particular version of the module or the version of the package. So npm install should get me 15.4 of React and 15.5 of React and 15.5 of React to DOM for me. Install. You know what, guys? Let me show you this. npm install Netflix. There's a little meme you can see. It seems like 1/3 of the US bandwidth is consumed by Netflix. Another 2/3 is consumed by installing your node modules. This is how often people download node modules. And it's taking and downloading all the packages that I need. I could have gone or only deleted React and React DOM package, but it's a good practice to delete everything and reinstall everything because they would have a nested dependencies that depend on other dependencies. So we make sure everything is clean and reinstall them again. Now I would start my server again and give it a spin. Okay. And done. Now I'm using same React create class, but I'm using an older version of React. Okay. Now this is using ES5. I'm using an ES5 syntax. This is completely ES5 syntax. Any questions until this far? Interview questions should be something like this. What version of React does not support create class? Starting from 16, your React does not support create class. Now, there's another little information in here. Yesterday, Manoj was asking, what if my, let's say, what if my project was on Angular 1, or I don't know, Angular JS, okay, Angular, there's not Angular 1, Angular JS project. Every now and then Google releases Angular versions. Can I skip all the versions of Angular and then can I directly go on to Angular 8? He was asking me, can I go on to Angular JS to Angular 8 directly? you would have a lot of breaking changes. You cannot directly do that. It has to be a slow transition. And to help you that, I'll show you on the console, on my console, you should see something, a message that says, warning, accessing create class via main React package is deprecated. You would see this word a lot of times in programming world. Deprecated means you can still use this, but going forward, it will not be supported and will be removed completely in React version 16. And this is how you get ready for the future versions. This little messages helps the developer understand, okay, as soon as I write my React class, I know that it's not gonna support in the future. And I go back to the React documentation. Let me open up this. I go back to the React documentation, and there's a nice little messages, blogs that suggest what we need to do in order to avoid create class. The biggest change we are excited, we have extracted is React prop. We'll touch what a React props is. React create class into their own package. Both are still accessible by a main React package by using either will log one-time deprecation warning to the console when in development mode. Any questions on what a deprecation is and why is it necessary in any project to keep up with the versions? Arjun?
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
Cool. Let me stop the recording for a minute so you guys can answer the questions. Cool. Okay, so we were trying to use React class, everything looks good, React 6.15, but I still wanted to use React 16 as my latest version because going forward, I want you to get I want you to get up-to-date information on React. Okay, I'll just comment this everything back onto the latest version of React. I just remove my node modules. I go back, delete them completely, delete them, go to my packet.json, reset my packet.json numbers. Okay, and then npm install again. That should bring back my newer version of React. While we do this, we go back to app.json and I'll add this code commented out right below so you guys can get access to this code later point of time. The below code is using 15.5 version of React, okay, with warnings. Now now we'll start looking into React, latest version of React, which is React 16. Okay, and we will be using going forward throughout this class, throughout this course, we'll be start using ES6 syntax, ECMAScript 6, which is 2015 JavaScript version of JavaScript. And there's a little changes on how we use this. The first and the foremost change is that while you require your React packages, you no longer need this little word called require. Simply, you can use the actual meaning, import React from React, very plain English, import React from React, and name of my package, React package. Cool. As simple as that. Right? No fancy, require and all that stuff. As simple as that. And second major change in ES6 is instead of doing create class, the create class, you're creating an object based on a class. We can also do this by extending our class. So literally extending the existing class. So what I do is the class, the name of my React app, the React component. Okay, we'll get to what is a component is. React class app is the name of my component. Always capital, starts with a capital character. And next word, extends. What does it extend? It extends the React, but it extends the React component. That's the reason I'm telling component. React dot component. Okay, it extends my existing React component, and then give it a curly brace. Now this is good. Now I would just go ahead and use the same render function. We'll get on to what a render function is. Render is nothing but to show the things on the UI. So I do go this, use my render function, and the render function should always return a view. This is the thumb rule. Every React component should return at least one HTML element, because that is the reason you have your React, right? It has to do something on the UI. It has to create something on the UI. So I go ahead and simply say, this is React using using ESX, right? And then same thing, export default, my name of my app. Okay, and save, clear it up, npm start. Fingers crossed. Awesome. This is React using ESX, and no warning messages because I'm not using a create clear class, which is not part of React 16. Cool, guys. Now let's talk about, we're already on 1 hour time.